This is a little early to be talking about the publicity and marketing of a book since I haven't written it yet, and it's going to take me another 2 years. But I really wanted to get you guys to start thinking about how we're going to promote it, because I want it to be an event.
We can, map out for you a national tour that would consist of not only national media interviews, including print, radio, and TV, but we can try and create real events in several markets around the country.
I think what we'll be looking to do is, say, 6 to 8 months prior to the new book's release, is to start re-promoting Pillars in a variety of ways. And I think we want to get it back out there in the stores. We want to remind everybody, and then we can create marketing pieces that will give that sense of a countdown so that people really understand with the urgency that they're waiting for this book.
Merthin is a young builder, and he has actually foreseen the collapse of the bridge. His boss is more of a traditionalist and does not foresee the collapse of the bridge and doesn't understand why it's collapsed. So I have a conflict, another conflict between the new and the old, the traditionalists and the reformers, as it were. And Merthin can see that a certain type of bridge has got to be built now so that it won't collapse again. But he's the only person who can see that. So it's the dramatic situation is we have a conflict, and we know that our hero is right, but nobody else does.
Round arches, Merthin said, still studying Elfric's drawing, and narrow openings. How many piers will you have? 7, Elfric said. The wooden bridge only had 5, Merthin replied. Why are they so thick and the openings so narrow? To bear the weight of a stone-paved roadway. You don't need thick piers for that. Elfric's design was poor, but Merthin did not want to improve it. He wanted to replace it with his own.
For me, writing this type of book, the only way to get a drama that you can sustain over 50 years, because, this pretty much the same people are enemies at the end of the book as at the beginning of the book, and they have fundamentally the same reasons for hating one another. And to get that kind of drama that's going to keep people turning the pages for 1,000 pages, there's got to be something quite real about it. It can't be superficial.
People who sell toothpaste spend millions and millions of dollars on television advertising, and we have a few $100,000. And that's just the nature of the industry. We're never going to have $10 million like a movie company to spend on advertising. So we just have to be smarter.
The online retailers, they're going to be very excited about this book, and what they're always looking for is unique material that they can get from the author. So when it gets close to publication time, if you were to write something that would be direct to their customers, that they would blast out, and even to record something, and that's something to bear in mind. A lot of times they'll ask for streaming video or audio, and you're addressing their
I'll do
customers.
that. I'll be happy to do that. Yeah, it'll be great.
This is Mont Saint-Michel in northern France, and it's a working monastery today with monks and nuns, as it was in the Middle Ages. If you're going to write about the Middle Ages, you have to pretty much write about monks and nuns because they were so important and powerful in the Middle Ages. But there's more to it than that. The great thing about a monastery or a nunnery is that it's a closed group of people. And so any drama that takes place is heightened by the hothouse atmosphere of all these people living so close together. For example, all of the monks, except probably for the prior, would have slept in the same dormitory, and similar situation with the nuns. So they were together all night and all day. So whatever rivalries and grudges and resentments they had, whatever conflicts they had over money or power or position or whatever it was, all of those things become so much more intense because they can't walk away. They've got to stay here. It's like a story set on a railway train or on a ship. The people can't walk away from their problems, so they've got to confront them, and that just increases the drama.
Godwin wanted to be prior of Kingsbridge. He longed for it with all his heart. He lusted for the authority and distinction of the title. At night in his imagination, he was already prior. "Clean up that mess in the cloister," he would say to a monk. "Yes, Father Prior, right away." Godwin loved the sound of Father Prior.
We haven't even talked about Godwin. I mean, he's the other main character.
Well, we talked about him and we talked about his mother.
But you know, doesn't she die in the Black Death or something? She doesn't last all the way through the book, does she?
Well, she can die anytime we like.
That's true. No, but I mean, I think he has to be. I mean, he's the guy that's on stage.
Yeah.
He's the guy that is interacting aggressively with the people that we like.
Yeah.
And we have to kind of clarify or narrow his ambition, focus on it.
"So, you want the nunnery to pay for your new house as well as mine?" said Mother Cecilia. "I think we could consider this proposal in 3 years' time." 3 years? I want to start now. Oh, I don't think we can contemplate that. Godwin did not know what to say. Worse, he had a ghastly feeling that she was laughing at him behind the veil. He could not stand to be laughed at. He stood up abruptly. "Thank you, Mother Cecilia," he said coldly. "We'll talk about this again."
La vie des sœurs aujourd'hui, comment est-elle différente que leur vie dans le Moyen Âge?
Alors il y a une différence assez fondamentale, c'est que nous ne vivons pas en clôture stricte. Donc nous avons dans le monastère des pièces où les personnes ne peuvent pas venir évidemment, mais nous accueillons par exemple à notre table les hôtes, les retraitants, ce que ne faisaient pas des sœurs autrefois qui vivaient véritablement en clôture. Et il y avait même une grille qui empêchait les personnes de rentrer dans la clôture.
Monks and nuns are human beings, and so they are greedy for money, they're ambitious for high position, they like to boss people around, they fall in love, although they're not supposed to, but they do. They fall in love with each other, they fall in love with people outside. So there's a terrific amount of drama in a place like this.
Godwin took 50 ducats, worth £7 and 10 shillings. Philemon closed the lid of the chest. He put the chest back in the vault and lowered the slab over the hole. "Of course the nuns will notice the loss sooner or later," he said. "It may not be for years," Godwin replied. They went out and Godwin locked the door. He was risking a terrible row with the nuns, he knew. When they did find out, there would be hell to pay.
Pillars of the Earth. I spent a year and 3 months on the outline, and then another year on the first draft, and then I just raced to finish the rewrite because I was afraid that I was going to be writing that darn book for the rest of my life. So I started working Saturdays and in the end Saturdays and Sundays as well, working 7 days a week. I hope I'll have this one under better control.
Sure. Well, you've got the benefit in that you've done it once.
Yeah.
You've never done a book like that before.
Right.
And so you'll have a better idea of what kind of pace you need to do, and also the fact that you know you can do it.
I guess, yeah. So we should have a final manuscript by May 2007. And if you want, you can get it out in time for Christmas.
It would be a very nice Christmas book.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When readers asked me to write a sequel to The Pillars of the Earth, I knew I couldn't write another book about building a cathedral because that would be the same book. So I decided to set the story in the monastery. And the heart of the monastery is the cloister. At certain times of day, the monks would come here to meditate, to read and study, but mostly to walk around and talk and gossip and plot. And this is where a lot of the
action of the story takes place. I get a lot of people asking me for a hardcover, where they can buy a hardcover of The Pillars of the Earth. Mm-hmm. And at the moment, tragically, I have to tell even Americans to buy the British hardcover, because there isn't an American hardcover. One thing we need to talk about is republishing the hardcover of The Pillars of the Earth, because I think people will buy them both. We might talk about a trade paperback of both before we bring out the mass market paperback at some point. And we could put 2 trade paperbacks in a box set, which would be a nice gift. A lot of people are going to buy this book as a gift because they know that it's their mum's favorite book of all time. And so they can buy her a nice new edition. People always tell me, my copy is all tattered because I've lent it to people. And
well, and also it'll create a new audience for the first book.
Yeah.
I mean, all the attention and the spotlight and all that, a lot of people will be curious about it. They may have heard about it, never read it, or they may read the second one and say, I've got to go back and read that first one now. So I think something along those lines